Hello, welcome back to Tactical Tuesday with Johnny Tiger on April 23rd, 2024. Today I have a very educational episode that we're going to go through. This is from a true story that just happened to a student and best friend of mine last week. We'll just call him George for the sake of keeping everybody's real name out of it. Now, I wish I can tell you that this is a story of George coming to Johnny Tiger and learned self-defense and then get into a fight and he managed to use his self-defense to kick ass and defend himself. That would be a happy story, but unfortunately, that's not how it went down. But this still has a happy ending. And I think, if anything else, this story, what actually happened to George, is even better at teaching us some valuable lessons. So I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. Um, Last week, George came to me and told me this. He said he just got into a fight last week. And it wasn't anything super serious. Basically, George and we'll call the other guy Lenny because George always go with Lenny. So let's say George and Lenny um, were annoying the shit out of each other, and George did the unspeakable, the high school thing. Basically, told Lenny, "You have a problem? Go outside. Come on, go outside." So George went outside to wait for Lenny, and then Lenny came outside. Now, this is obviously, no, I want to interject here. This is very stupid. This is very stupid. Like I said, high school shit. Okay, especially for someone who's trained with me. I think of everything else, this was what disappointed me the most. Is people who trained with me should know that you don't do that. Okay, to tell someone to come outside and then you go outside and wait for them, it's extremely stupid and very dangerous because you don't know what the person's come out with, right? The person may come out with a baseball bat. The person may be like Johnny Tiger, got one of these swords hanging on the wall, and then the person just decide to grab one of these and come outside and meet you. What are you going to do then, right? By telling the person to come outside and meet you, you automatically put yourself at a reactionary situation because now all the action is in the person's court. The ball is in the other person's court. They can call the cop. They can they can ignore you and not come outside, which would be the smartest thing to do. Or they can come outside armed to the teeth, and you wouldn't even know what happened to you. Okay, so don't do that. Anyway, back to our story. So George told Lenny that come outside, I'll wait for you outside. And George is standing there. Lenny come outside, and Lenny, uh, obviously not a confrontational, not a real confrontational person. Although, if you are not a confrontational person, okay, let me tell you guys this. If someone tell you to go outside, don't go outside. Okay, what do you think is that going to do? They didn't tell you to come outside so you can talk, okay? Especially if it's someone who you know is already mad at you. Usually, going outside only has one ending, which is for fisticuff. Now, Lenny came outside and they exchanged a few words, and then Lenny made what I usually call is the biggest, biggest peacemaking mistake. Lenny tried to calm George down. Now, let me say this: George and Lenny, they were not friends because they were neighbors. They were not friends. They were not familiar with each other, which makes this even more dangerous. Lenny tried to calm George down, came toward George, and did a Hey man, take it easy, man. Take it easy. Why are you so mad? Why are you so mad? It's okay, man. Throwing his arm, try to throw his arm around George's shoulder. Big no-no. Okay, big no-no. This is how a lot of people, whether bystanders trying to help out a situation, or people in the family trying to avoid a domestic dispute, no matter who, it can be your brother, your father, your sister, your girlfriend, your husband, if the person is already agitated in that fight or flight mode, you do not go hands on. Hey man, take it easy, okay? No touching at this point. Right? Think of a cat or a dog. If a cat and a dog is already agitated, you do, even if you are their owner, you don't want to reach and touch because you most likely, and this happened to Johnny Tiger before. Hey, some of you might even remember those videos. Okay, you reach your cat or dog, even ones that you have had for 20 years, will fuck you up. And this is true for human too. Okay? If the person is in that fight or flight mode already, is really highly aggravated, you can try to defuse the situation by walking away from them slowly. Okay? Keeping your hand in front just in case they charge you and talk nicely to them, but walking towards them and hey man, take it easy, man. That's not the thing to do. You do not want to do that because that will trigger the person into attacking you. And you wouldn't even be able to really explain that in court because, okay, this is the next thing that happened. My student and friend George said the moment Lenny put his hand on his shoulder and tried to hug him, that immediately triggered him, so he shoved Lenny back. So I stopped George at this point. I asked George, I said, like, did you think he's going to attack you? Or did you know that he was going to just try to calm you down? Now, George said, one part of my brain knew that he's trying to calm me down. But the other part of my brain, the part that remembered my self-defense lesson, says, you don't know what he has in his pocket. You don't know what he's going to do once he gets a hold of you. So I decided to be safe. So the moment he tried to touch me and hug me, I shoved him. And almost like the dam was broken once that first shove happened, George just pretty much lost his cool and he shoved Lenny back and then he continued to shove Lenny. And Lenny, of course, at this point is like, hey, hey, don't you push me. Don't you fucking push me. And George is like, I'm going to push you. What are you going to do? Huh? I'm pushing you. I'm pushing you. Look, I'm pushing you again. What are you going to do? Okay? And that's going to, like, so, uh, according to what George told me, he pushed the guy like 10 times. He shoved the guy like 10 times. And then Lenny was flailing around, get a hold of George's hand, and start to try to bend his finger. Try to, like, he grabbed his arm and hand and tried to bend his finger back to try to put George into like a submission. When George came to see me, he still got Lenny's nail marks on the back of his hand from Lenny trying to bend his finger back like that. Right? Once George felt that his hand was, once his hand was grabbed, that he knew that he was in trouble, he went in and flailed for Lenny's groin. So he went in like, oh, tried to go for the groin, and but he telegraphed too much, and Lenny caught his hand between his leg, and now George got one hand being held on by Lenny. Lenny was trying to bend his finger, and then the other hand is between Lenny's leg, and Lenny's like clamping down. So now all George could do was keep pushing forward with his whole body, and then the two of them gradually fell down and turned to a bit of a wrestling match on the ground before bystanders finally broke them up. Right? Luckily, Lenny didn't know what he was doing. He's untrained, and George did not remember anything I taught him. So no one really seriously got hurt. More just a few bruises here, scrapes here and there, and a lot of bruised, damaged ego. So I'm going to take this chance to show a couple of things that is related to this because we just broke down the fight. And I'm going to show this two important technique in this kind of situation where did people go wrong. Number one, when someone shove you in the chest or whatever, if you can get a hold of their hand, this is where Lenny went wrong by trying to bend all the fingers back to like this. Okay, you will not succeed. You will not succeed unless you have a significant size advantage. Because if someone try to grab my hand and bend, what's going to be natural is me turning my body and stepping and to take the pressure off my wrist. So all you will do is make me very angry and very uncomfortable. You're not going to hurt me. Okay? The proper way, if someone's shoving you and you get a hold of their hand, or in any situation, any kind of fight, if you get a hold of the person's open hand, you grab, separate their finger, and then pull their hand toward your hip while stepping back. When you pull their hand toward your hip, their finger will go back. Okay, this is much stronger, and this will break the finger if the person doesn't comply. If the person is really strong, and let's say try to pull my finger and I resist like this, because some people their arms are strong, they will resist. This is what you do. You get out their finger, you separate, you pull toward your hip, they resist, you can't pull them. Think of their hand as a big steering wheel. Turn and pull. Okay? Make a big steering wheel. You can turn clockwise, counterclockwise, it doesn't matter. Turn and pull. Okay? Those fingers are coming towards you. Okay? That's the proper technique for that. Number two, I've mentioned this before. The one problem I had with a lot of self-defense classes is I tell you growing strike, and they think that's going to be magic. Yes, it is magic when you get it right. But as it was shown in this real example, when Lenny grabbed George's finger, and George automatically went like this, shuffle in and try to hit the groin. This is so obvious, okay? This is so obvious. Like Lenny could see that coming from a mile away, and as what happened there, he just closed his leg, and now George's hand's trapped. If you are in this situation, if your hand is grabbed by your opponent and you need to go for that growing strike, what you want to do is you want to do something to distract them first. So, what? There's no really rhyme or reason, but the principle here is you need to distract them. You can't just go for the groin. The person's going to see that coming. Okay? So, if, for example, if someone grabbed my hand and try to bend my finger and I'm trying to extract myself and I can't and I need to go for the groin, I'm going to hit rather than going for the groin, I'm going to backhand them in the face and then head, groin, okay? Head, groin, head, groin, groin, right? That's it, right? You don't go for the groin right away. you backhand smack them across the face and then go for the groin, or you shoulder check them and then go for the groin, or go for the groin with your knee, right? Or you headbutt them and then go for the groin. Distract them first and then go for the groin shot. That is the principle. Okay. Now, I want you, before we end the video, I'm going to give you guys the happy ending and give you the probably the most valuable lesson of this experience between George and Lenny. That night, Lenny came over and knocked on George's door, and he had a bunch of friends with him, and George was thinking, "Oh crap, he brought some people, he's going to beat me up." Instead, Lenny said, "Hey, that unpleasantness earlier, I want to apologize, and I brought you a case of beer. I wish we can be friends, and let's just forget about it." And that's it. That's it. Both of them friends now. Okay. Uh, George got a case of beer, and they got they got each other as new friends. So this is the happy ending. The moral of the story, and I'm going to tell it to you the way George told it to me, is George said, "You know, after the fight, I was feeling embarrassed and angry at myself all day because I totally forgot everything you taught me uh, in self-defense. I made so many mistakes. I didn't use any of my cool Krav Maga stuff. I didn't use my elbow. I didn't use my knee. I didn't punch him in the face. I didn't use my open hand. I didn't hit him in the throat. And I let him grab my finger. What the hell? I know that technique. How could I be so stupid?" So the whole day, I was so mad at myself. But now I realize that him not knowing how to fight and me forgetting everything I knew about fighting was a blessing in disguise. Because because of that, because he didn't know how to fight, and I forgot my training, none of us got really badly hurt. So we could now sit down and have a beer and be friends. If I remembered everything you taught me, if I remember my Krav Maga, if I remember my training, one of us would be in the hospital and one of us would be in jail. So I think it's worthwhile for us to really think about that, right? Self-defense and martial art is all good, but happy ending when no one get hurt and you get a case of beer and a new friend out of it, it's even better. Thank you for checking out today's episode. I'll be back again tomorrow for some Wisdom Wednesday.